The organ music swelled through St. Augustine's chapel as white roses cascaded down the aisle. My daughter Bella stood at the altar in her grandmother's lace veil, and when she leaned forward to hug me, something small and damp pressed into my palm. I didn't look down immediately. I smiled for the photographer, kissed her cheek, and felt the paper burning against my skin. When I finally glanced at it, 3 words stopped my heart. Dad, help me. The handwriting was shaky, desperate. I looked up at her fiancé, Cameron, who stood smiling at the altar like a man who'd already won. I forced myself to stay calm. 50 guests watched from wooden pews, cameras ready, champagne waiting. Cameron's smile never faltered, but something in his eyes, a flicker of impatience, maybe greed, made my chest tighten. For months he'd been asking questions about our ranch. Casual questions at first. Where were the property lines? How many acres? Did we own the water rights? I'd brushed it off as interest in our family business. Now, with Bella's note trembling in my fist, those questions replayed in my mind like warnings I'd ignored. I sat back down slowly, my mind already moving. I stood and cleared my throat. I apologize, everyone. There's been a small family matter that needs addressing before we continue. The chapel went silent. Cameron's smile froze. Bella's shoulders relaxed just slightly. The pastor looked confused but nodded. I asked for a brief delay. 15 minutes. Nothing dramatic. Guests murmured. Cameron's jaw tightened, and for half a second I saw past his charm. He was angry. Not concerned. Not confused. Angry. That told me everything I needed to know. I gestured for Bella to follow me to the side room, and Cameron started to follow too. I stopped him with one look. In the small room beside the chapel, Bella collapsed into a chair. Her makeup was smudged, hands shaking. Dad, I can't do this, she whispered. He's not who I thought he was. I knelt beside her, still holding the note. Tell me everything, I said. She took a shaking breath. 3 weeks ago I found documents in his car, investor presentations, business plans. All of them mentioned our ranch, the land, the mineral rights, the water access. He's been planning something, Dad. He's been using me. My blood ran cold. I thought about every conversation, every meal, every time Cameron had steered talk toward our property. When did you realize? I asked. Bella wiped her eyes. Last month. He asked me if your trust was in my name yet. He wanted to know when I'd have access to the ranch deed. I thought it was strange, but I made excuses for him. Then I saw the presentations. One slide said, property acquisition through marriage, timeline 6 to 8 months. Her voice cracked. I was part of a business plan, Dad, not a marriage. I felt rage rising, but I pushed it down. Anger wouldn't help her now. Strategy would. I stood and pulled out my phone. Stay here. Don't come out until I call you. Trust me. I stepped back into the chapel hallway. Cameron was pacing near the door, phone in hand. When he saw me, he slipped it into his pocket and smiled. That same practiced smile I'd seen 100 times. Everything okay? He asked. His voice was smooth, concerned, perfect. We're working through something. Yeah, I said carefully. Family logistics. His eyes sharpened. Logistics? On our wedding day? I watched him. Really watched him. The way his fingers drummed against his leg. The way his gaze drifted toward the chapel doors like he was calculating exits. Yes, I said. It'll take a bit longer. Be patient. His smile thinned. We have a schedule. I excused myself and stepped outside, dialing our family attorney, Harold Grayson. He answered on the second ring. Harold, I need you to pull something for me. Cameron Wells. Any financial filings, business registrations, partnership agreements, anything tied to our ranch or my name. There was a pause. What's happening? He asked. I'll explain later. How fast can you get me information? He was silent for 3 seconds. Give me 20 minutes. I hung up and stared at the chapel. Inside, guests were getting restless. Cameron was getting suspicious. But I wasn't moving forward until I knew exactly what I was dealing with. Bella's future depended on it. I walked back inside. Cameron intercepted me immediately. We need to get this moving, he said, his voice lower now, less charming. People are waiting. I met his eyes. They'll wait, I said calmly. Unless you'd rather cancel entirely? His expression flickered. Surprise, then something sharper. Cancel? Why would we cancel? I let the silence sit between us. He shifted his weight, uncomfortable now. Look, I understand pre-wedding jitters, he said, forcing a laugh. But Bella and I love each other. Whatever she's worried about, we can work through it after. After. Once the marriage was legal. once access was secured. I almost admired his persistence. Almost. Harold called back 18 minutes later. I stepped into the empty pastor's office and locked the door. "What did you find?" I asked. Harold's voice was grim. "Cameron Wells filed articles of incorporation 3 months ago. Company name, Clearwater Land Development. He's listed as CEO. There are 2 investor names attached and both have criminal records for real estate fraud." I closed my eyes. "Go on." Harold continued. "They've been shopping proposals to developers in Montana and Wyoming, proposals that specifically reference your ranch's water access and mineral rights as secured assets. He's been telling investors he'll have legal access within the year. He was going to steal it," I said quietly. Harold sighed. "Legally, through marriage, yes. If Bella inherited or gained access through family trust, he'd have spousal claim in most circumstances. He wasn't planning to steal, he was planning to leverage." I thought of Bella's trembling hands, her desperate note. "What can we do?" I asked. Harold didn't hesitate. "Prenuptial agreement. Ironclad, separate all property rights. If he refuses to sign, you know exactly what he is." I felt something click into place. "Can you draft one now?" I asked. "Already working on it," Harold said. "I'll email it in 10 minutes. Print it, present it, and watch what he does." I returned to the side room where Bella waited. She looked up, hopeful and terrified. "We're not doing this wedding without protection," I told her. "I'm having a prenuptial agreement drafted right now. If Cameron truly loves you, he'll sign it without hesitation. If he refuses—" I didn't finish. Bella nodded slowly. "What if he gets angry?" she asked. "Then we'll know for sure," I said, "and you'll walk away free." She closed her eyes, relief flooding her face. "Thank you, Dad," she whispered. I squeezed her hand. "You saved yourself by writing that note. I'm just finishing what you started." Harold's email arrived 9 minutes later. I printed it in the pastor's office, 4 pages, clean and direct. The prenuptial agreement was simple. All property acquired before marriage remained separate. No spousal claim to family assets. Bella retained full control of any inheritance or trust access. If Cameron was marrying her for love, this wouldn't matter. If he was marrying her for land, this would end him. I folded the document and walked back into the hallway. Cameron was leaning against the wall, scrolling through his phone. When he saw me, he straightened. "Finally," he said. "Are we ready?" I held up the papers. "Almost. We just need your signature." His eyes dropped to the document. "What's that?" he asked carefully. "A prenuptial agreement," I said. "Standard protection for both of you. Keeps things clean if anything ever goes wrong." I kept my voice casual, but I watched every micro-expression. His smile faltered. "A prenup? Now?" He laughed, but it sounded hollow. "We're literally at the altar." I shrugged. "Better now than during a messy divorce later." His jaw tightened. "This feels like distrust," he said, his voice hardening. "Bella and I are building a life together. We share everything." There it was. The word share. Not love, not cherish, share, like assets, like property. "Then this shouldn't be a problem," I said evenly. I handed him the document. He skimmed it, and I watched his face change. The charm drained away. His eyes moved fast, reading clauses about separate property and asset protection. When he reached the part about the ranch, his grip tightened on the paper. "This says Bella retains sole control of any inheritance," he said slowly. "That's right," I replied. "It protects her. And you." He looked up, and for the first time I saw the real Cameron Wells. Cold. Calculating. Furious. "I'm not signing this," he said flatly. The room seemed to shrink. "Why not?" I asked. "If you love her, why does it matter?" He tried to recover. "Because it implies I'm after her money," he said, forcing hurt into his voice. "That's insulting." I didn't blink. "Or it protects 2 people entering a marriage. Sign it, Cameron. Or we're done here." His expression darkened. He stepped closer, dropping his voice. "You don't want to do this," he said quietly. "I've spent 6 months building relationships with your family, your community. If you embarrass me here, it'll reflect badly on Bella." It was a threat, barely veiled. I smiled coldly. "Embarrass you?" I said. "You mean like discovering you've been pitching my ranch to investors before you even married my daughter?" His face went white. Dead silent. "Caught." "I don't know what you're talking about," he said. "Clearwater Land Development," I said calmly. "Incorporated 3 months ago. Your investor pitch deck specifically lists this ranch's water rights as secured assets pending legal acquisition." I pulled out my phone and showed him Harold's email summary. Cameron stared at the screen, then at me. His mask was gone now. No charm, no smile, just cold calculation. That's a legitimate business venture, he said carefully. Bella knew I was interested in land development. I shook my head. She didn't know you were selling access to her family's property before you even married her. He clenched his jaw. This is a misunderstanding, he said. We can discuss this after. No, I cut him off. We discuss it now. Sign the prenup or leave. Cameron's eyes flickered toward the chapel doors. He was weighing options. Could he still salvage this? Could he charm his way back in? I saw the exact moment he realized he couldn't. His shoulders stiffened. You know what? He said, his voice turning sharp. Maybe you're right. Maybe this isn't the right time. He dropped the unsigned document on a nearby table. Tell Bella I'm sorry it had to end this way. He wasn't sorry. He was cutting his losses. He turned and walked toward the exit, pulling his phone out as he went, probably calling his investors, probably spinning a new story. I didn't stop him. I let him leave, and the chapel doors closed behind him with a soft click. I walked back to the side room. Bella looked up, eyes wide. He left, I said simply. She exhaled, a long, shuddering breath that sounded like relief. He wouldn't sign? She asked. I shook my head. He refused, and when I mentioned his company in the investor pitch, he didn't even try to deny it. He just left. Bella's hands covered her face. She wasn't crying. She was breathing like someone who'd just escaped drowning. I almost married him, she whispered. I almost gave him everything. I knelt beside her. But you didn't, I said. You trusted your instincts. You asked for help. You saved yourself, Bella. She looked at me, tears finally spilling over. Thank you, Dad. We told the guests there'd been a change of plans. I didn't explain details. I simply said the wedding wouldn't be happening, and we appreciated everyone's understanding. Some looked shocked. Others looked curious. A few looked relieved. Maybe they'd sensed something too. We offered to cover travel expenses for out-of-town guests and thanked everyone for coming. The chapel emptied slowly. Bella stood beside me in her wedding dress, no longer a bride, just my daughter. Free, safe, whole. We walked out together into the afternoon sunlight, and I realized I'd been holding my breath for hours. It was over. Cameron was gone, and Bella was still ours. 2 days later, Harold called with an update. Cameron's investors pulled out, he said. Once they realized he didn't actually have access to your property, the whole deal collapsed. I leaned back in my chair. Good, I said. Harold continued. He's also facing potential fraud charges. One of the investors filed a complaint claiming Cameron misrepresented his assets. It's being investigated. I felt a grim satisfaction. Cameron had built his plan on lies, and now those lies were burying him. What about Bella? I asked. Is she clear of all this? Harold's voice softened. Completely. She was never part of any filings or agreements. She's safe. I thanked him and hung up. Justice, it turned out, didn't always need courtrooms. Sometimes it just needed patience. Over the next few weeks, Bella healed, slowly. She threw herself into work at the ranch, spending long days in the pastures, fixing fences, checking cattle. Physical work seemed to help. One evening, we sat on the porch watching the sunset. I keep thinking about all the signs I missed, she said quietly. I shook my head. You didn't miss them. You saw them. That's why you wrote the note. She smiled faintly. I was so scared he'd see me write it. I squeezed her shoulder. But you did it anyway. That took courage, Bella. She leaned against me. I'm not gonna let this make me bitter, she said. I'm gonna let it make me smarter. I believed her. A month later, we heard through mutual friends that Cameron had left the state. His business dissolved, his reputation destroyed, his plans in ruins. No one knew where he'd gone. Frankly, I didn't care. He was gone, and that was enough. What mattered was that Bella was moving forward. She'd started taking business courses online, learning about land management and property law. I want to understand what almost happened, she told me, so it never happens again. I was proud of her, not just for surviving, but for refusing to be a victim. She was turning pain into power, and that was the best revenge of all. Friends and family asked questions, of course. Some gently, some bluntly. We answered honestly, but without venom. It wasn't the right match, Bella would say. We realized that before it was too late. People respected that. No one pushed for gossip. And slowly, the story faded into background noise. Life on the ranch returned to normal. Morning chores, evening rides, family dinners, the rhythm we'd always known. Except now Bella was different. Stronger. More cautious, yes, but also more confident. She knew what she was worth now. And she knew what she wouldn't tolerate. That knowledge, I realized, was priceless. 6 months after the wedding that never was, Bella and I stood on the north ridge of our property. The land stretched out before us, rolling hills, clear streams, open sky. Cameron wanted this, Bella said quietly. I nodded. But he didn't understand it, I replied. Land isn't just property, it's legacy, it's family, it's roots. She smiled. He saw dollar signs, we see home. I put my arm around her shoulders. The ranch had been in our family for 3 generations. It would be here for 3 more and beyond. Not because of legal documents or business plans, but because we protected it. Because Bella had the courage to ask for help when it mattered most. I still carry that note in my wallet. Dad, help me. 3 words that changed everything. Sometimes I take it out and look at it, remembering that morning in the chapel. The organ music, the white roses, the moment everything could have gone wrong but didn't. Bella caught herself before she fell. I just made sure the ground was solid when she landed. Some victories don't need applause or headlines. They need silence, distance, and the certainty that you chose right when it mattered most. Our ranch is still ours. Our family is still whole. And my daughter is still free. That's not just victory. That's everything.